right there along with the contact numbers. All right, if you want to get your ad on Dairyland Varieties, all you got to do is email it to us, dairyland@tillamookradio.com. Don't include ads for guns, well, handguns, business ads, or I don't remember the other thing. So let's go to Tillamook today. Hi, Lisa.
Real estate.
Oh, yeah, real estate. I say that every day. You would think it's just, and then all of a sudden you have this blank moment.
Well, the one day that you weren't here and I had to read them, I was like, I know it's handguns and real estate, but what's the third one? Shane and I couldn't figure out. It's business ads.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, and I have Gary Albright here. Hello.
Hi.
We've missed you.
It's nice to see you, Lisa.
Yes. So you haven't been here since Festival of Trees. How'd that go?
That
I heard it went really well.
It was a very big success. We got the money that we looked for, and it's nice because we wanted additional money for a litter to attach to what is going to look like something of a golf cart to move it out there.
Not golf cart wheels, I assume, like bigger wheels that can get down through.
Well, and it's true.
Terrain.
We hope to have a 4 or 6 person vehicle, and we're looking all over the place. We're looking for the potential of having something adapted that would be best useful, something lower to the ground than your traditional kind of ATV vehicle. And we actually have to widen at least one of our bridges to accommodate that. And so when we figure that out, we'll have to change the bridge to make for the width of the wheelbase. And but we did get the money, and the nice thing is, after the fact, the Pioneer Association gave us money, the Samuel S. Johnson Foundation gave us money, and the Mario and Alma Pastega Foundation gave us money, which means that we have the money that we need to make this happen.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of vague as to what the total cost will be, but it certainly did work, and it was a wonderful event. But, I mean, once again, we got the money we needed for the purpose that was intended.
Which is kind of, I mean, I don't know that it was something weighing on you, but it's kind of a nice, like, okay, now we know. Once that all gets taken care of, if there's an emergency down there, we have a plan in place.
Yes.
And we can take care of that. And then the golf cart is also, or the people mover, whatever you want to call it. Is it a mule? Is it like one of those things?
Yeah, and it's like that, yes.
Yeah, so that's going to have...
kind of a hitch sort of thing?
Well, no, but aren't you using that to take maybe people who aren't super mobile to go?
That's exactly the point of it. It's not for maintenance. It's actually to take people unable to walk the distance, about 1.25 miles from the trailhead.
And on not super rough terrain, but if you're not real stable, it could be a little hairy.
Well, a lot of people explain they can walk the whole way out to the bird watching station. They just can't walk back.
Yeah.
And so it's as far back as it is out. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I know, yeah. Every time you go on a hike, you're like, wow, we hiked a lot. Oh, now I got to hike back.
Exactly.
Gotta get back to the car.
Yeah, you know how far you came, you got to go that far again. Yeah.
So is the hope that will all be taken care of by summertime? Or
oh, yes, and that's the intention. The board asked last week at our board meeting when this would happen, and we're fooling around checking all these places and seeing about adaptations, and lowering bases and all this kind of nonsense. But we intend to have it for the summer. We have to, because this year, the year just ended, 2016, we had over 30,000 people at Kilch's Point.
Wow.
And if you do the percentages of people who have some limited mobility, there's a need. If you do the percentages of people who have some limited mobility, there's a need.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. And then also, speaking of Kilch's Point, you just ended your exhibit where was it all local folks?
It was all local folks, and it was wonderful. We had I think it was billed as multimedia kind of thing, and it was. And there were paintings, and there were photographs, and so forth.
Was there any poetry? Because I know you actually mentioned that, but I'm
yes,
curious.
Yes, we did.
People had poetry? Nice.
And people actually did write poetry, and it's wonderful. And we had... Because I don't qualify as an artist, we brought in someone who was a legitimate artist to judge this. And first, second, and third place received cash awards for what happened. And all 3 of those, first, second, and third place works of art, were sold.
Nice.
And it's really very nice because it speaks to the idea that... why I shouldn't judge art.
And so those were all, the intention was everything was inspired by Kilch's Point, right?
Oh, and they were very clearly Kilch's Point. Cool. Clear down to the poetry. It was all about Kilch's Point.
Really neat. neat.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It worked very well.
So now that exhibit's over, you have a new one coming in?
We
Always?
do. What happened is, starting yesterday, for 2 weeks' time, we're closed to do maintenance and repairs and put in new exhibits and all that sort of thing. And so what we're putting in, and it's something that tugs at us all the time, is it's called Places from our Faces and Places from our archives. We have 13 times as much stuff as we have on display.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
we've got rooms filled with stuff that'll never see the light of day.
Yeah,
And
'cause you just don't have the facility. I mean, you'd have to have a big, huge convention center to display it all.
we could fill downtown Tillamook with what we have in our collection. So the intention is, let's get some of this stuff out because we have the coolest stuff. And it's funny because as we rearrange and reorganize and clean and do all this kind of stuff, we keep coming up with things. There are actually things in that museum we don't know that we have. And we're going to get this stuff out because we want people to see it, because the fact that you would donate something that was precious to you and your family should be reflected in what we display.
Sure.
And so that happens. We're going to be closed for 2 weeks until March 7th. And when we open again, the main room and in the Northwest Gallery will have essentially it's paintings and photographs. And we have some wonderful stuff.
I'll bet.
It's incredible the magic that we have hidden behind walls.
That'd be fun to go look at.
Oh, yeah. Please do come and see us. And that's what we intend to do. As far as what we're going to do in the building, we have some minor problems in the south side of the building in the basement where there's leaking from the rain, obviously. And we actually had a grant several years ago to patch it, and most of it's good, but there's still some minor problems. And we want to paint the floors, and I don't know. I mean, I think everyone understands that when you go to paint floors, the idea of putting up signings that say wet paint doesn't mean anything.
It almost attracts people. Wet paint? No, it's not wet. I'm going to step on it.
We've had people step over wet paint signs, and their footprints are in the paint,
floor.
and they're astonished. It's like they're testing to see if it's wet, like we made it up.
Yeah.
And that's not, And so we closed the building. I mean,
Sure.
this is the first year
Well,
in
and
5.
it makes it easier too. Then you don't have to worry about closing off certain parts, and other parts are open. You just don't have to worry about it.
Well, yeah, and see, there's something tragic about opening a museum and saying you can go everywhere except here,
Right.
which is probably why you came in. And it really is important to make it work. And it's the first year in 5 that we haven't put in additional flooring. We're just trying to repair some of the floors and
Right.
repaint areas. But that's what we'll do for 2 weeks, and then we'll open on March 7th with this new
I
exhibit.
assume, which is a Tuesday, since you guys are open on Tuesdays, right?
Exactly.
March 7th.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we can talk about, because you have a speaker coming in.
I
well,
do.
right? Okay.
Very good for you.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
talked about it before. Tillamook Motors, get paid to trade at Tillamook Motors. You can get an extra trade-in bonus on a new Ford, $1,500 on a Fiesta, $2,500 on an Edge Titanium, $3,300 on an F-150 XLT Chrome. Go further with Ford. Tillamook Motor Company on the friendly corner of 5th and Main in downtown Tillamook. Tillamook Motor Company, a better place to do business. Has a little charity drive thing in there, and I had to skip over it. Oh, it's not charity drive anymore. We're talking with Gary Albright from the Pioneer Museum. So you have a new Oregon Humanities project coming in.
We do.
What is this, like your 4th or 5th one?
Oh, it's actually
Because it's
further
really,
along. Yeah.
it's amazing that they come in and do these things. They're really interesting speakers.
It's such a wonderful thing what Oregon Humanities does, and we talk it up all the time, but I don't think we give enough credit to it because what they started out doing is offering, I believe it was 2 offerings a year. You could have one in the fall and one in the spring, and then they expanded to 3 or 4, and then they said as many as you want to have, and it's wonderful because they've
That
moved.
sounds like it's opening a can of worms.
Well, to a degree it does that because what they've moved from is some guy that's an expert coming in talking about something, that's very, intellectual or very heartfelt, to being a conversation project, and so everyone gets their say, and sometimes that's a little bit dangerous because
So the conversation projects are kind of open forum, like they talk about it and then you can ask questions and say if you agree or not agree. And
well, you sit in a circle and everyone has
Oh.
equal standing. It's not like there's some guy up front,
up front
saying,
doing a
I'm-
presentation and gotcha. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not the
Oh, that's
expert.
interesting.
Well, and it's a wonderful thing because what people want to say is stunning to me. Yeah. And I mean, it's like, everybody wants a forum, and some people really run it right off the page. And I think that's great. And that's the intention. And they talk about controversial things.
Yeah.
Like Malheur Wildlife Refuge.
Oh, sure.
Things that separate Americans.
People are very passionate about and very,
Yeah, just different views. And it's good because they pick things like that. In fact, that's what this event is, that on March 11th, Wendy Willis is coming back, sponsored by Oregon Humanities. And she's talking about a world without secrets, privacy, and expectations in the U.S. And it's a wonderful thing. I teach occasionally political science down at community college. And it's amazing how some people resent beyond belief the idea of, I don't know, drones or intercepting phone conversations. Other people think it's a good idea. And it's another one of those things in the American milieu that speaks very much to the fact that, in a democracy, you just pick the topic and 50% of the people are for it and 50% are against it.
Sure.
But it's something that she wants to come and talk about. And she's wonderful. She's come and spoken to us before. But we have such a wonderful relationship now with Oregon Humanities that we have many events in any given year. And it's nice because with the conversation projects, they had one about our place in, I don't know, like 30 different communities throughout Oregon, including the federally recognized tribal organizations and communities. And then when it was done, they set up to bring in people from all those places to talk about it as a statewide issue rather than a local issue.
Sure.
And that's really wonderful because you realize where you sit is where you stand. I mean, Tillamook doesn't represent Newburgh, and Newburgh doesn't represent Portland. And it's really very good because there are differences of opinion that need to be brought out. And that's treated like a conversation project, too. It's people sitting in a circle saying, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting about private, because it is, I mean, now with the internet and technology the way it is, a lot of people have smartphones and cookies and tracking and all that stuff that happens when you're using the internet.
Yeah.
That privacy is a big thing.
Well, it is.
You can find almost anything online. I mean, it's amazing to me if I go look for some information and I can't find it online. It's amazing to me that it's not online.
Well, that's the way I feel. I think you can pick up anything as obscure as you want. And part of the outfall of that is the rapid access to people throughout the world means that if I came up with the idea that the moon's made of green cheese, before nightfall I could have 1,000 followers.
Sure.
And sometimes that runs off the page, and that's kind of like, I mean, seriously, there's some crazy idea that no one ever bought into. Now I have this following all over the world, and there's something very unsettling about all that. But it is. Online, you can find anything you want. And, I mean, the example of that, the best example is the idea of telephone surveillance. There are people that think Edward Snowden is a hero, and people that think he's a traitor. And it plays both ways. And it's the same issue. Should I have someone listening in on my conversation? Well, if I'm not doing anything illegal, I really don't care.
Right. And I have fun listening to my conversations, talking about TV shows and things. But nothing interesting going on in my life.
But I mean, there are no secrets. Like if I look up somebody's name online,
you can most certainly find their address. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
unless they've taken steps to, get rid of it online. But it's still. Yeah.
Well, what people say on Facebook takes my breath away. The fact that I would advertise I'm leaving town for 2 months, it's like, this may not be a good idea, but people do it all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
And it just...
That'll be a really interesting one.
Well, it is, and she's a great one to do it because she teaches and she gets the idea of getting the message across. But as I say, when she comes in, she doesn't teach and she doesn't preach. What she does is come in and open the door. And I suspect in a case like that, you have people coming in on both sides. Someone's sitting there waiting for you to say Edward Snowden's a traitor.
Right, so that they can jump in with their their opinion.
Yeah, it's true. But I did want to say that along the way while we're closed, one of the things we intend to do is in the military room, put in a case that's dedicated to women in the service. We have finally part of our more recent donations have been women's uniforms from the military. And we have this great collection of stuff that we want to put out there. And along the way, hanging things in our new Meyer Memorial Trust racks in the attic, we came up with some wonderful paintings, including a painting of a woman. We're still trying to figure out who she is, that was in the, I believe, the Navy. And they're very distinguished photos. And so we're trying to focus on that kind of thing, something that hasn't been done before.
Yeah. I mean, is that something you can put out on Facebook and say, does anybody know who this person is?
Well, if
Do you think it's somebody local?
Well, I do think it's someone local. But what happens is, because we have written records, and then we have, and our written records were designed very thoughtfully by topic and then by donator, that we think we can find it, but if we can't, there's accession numbers that may lead us toward.
Gotcha.
And sometimes people donate one thing, sometimes they donate 1,000
Right,
things.
right.
And so we're hoping we find out who this person is, because it's quite a grand photo. You know, it's really a wonderful thing. I know when I was a child, I was a runner at auctions, and I would just take the stuff, collect the money, and so forth. And at the end of the day, whatever wasn't sold, I got to keep. And
That's cool.
It was cool. And
Does that make you a little bit of a hoarder? Did
You
have
would
a
think
lot of
so.
stuff?
For somehow that went genetically straight to my son. I mean, yeah, my dad used to say bad habits skip generations, because he was a hoarder and my son's a hoarder. But I took him this photo of this distinguished man in a beautiful frame. I hung it at my home, and people asked me who it was, and I said it was my grandfather. One day, someone pointed out that that's not your grandfather, that's Henry Ford.
Oh my gosh.
and it's like that. Sometimes you see a photo and you think, wow, there's somebody of merit or distinction. And so I was pretty impressed, and I got away
How
with,
old were you?
I don't know, 8, 9.
Oh my gosh.
And it was something that I thought, I want this guy to be my grandfather.
Yeah.
But it was Henry Ford, and I never knew.
Well, let's start the rumor now. Your grandfather was Henry Ford. That's hilarious. We're going to take a quick break, talk about the smoker. You want the real thing. Quality beef right out of the smokehouse. Tillamook Country Smoker is pulling out a batch right now. Pioneers of a unique brand of beef jerky, Tillamook Country Smoker ships thousands of pounds throughout the world every day. Visit the retail store on Warren Street at Highway 101 in Bay City. They're open 9 to 5, 7 days a week. With 2-foot-long pepperoni sticks for $1 and great deals on bags of jerky. Their commitment to quality is it's not done till it's done right. And their commitment to craft is a family tradition. No corners cut, no compromises. The job's done right at Tillamook Country Smoker. Be sure to visit them online at tcsjerky.com. And you can go there and get a snack and then go over across the street to Kilch's Point.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
You can almost throw a rock. Yeah.
Almost, yeah. Just got to drive down the street a little bit, and then it's right there.
That's true.
So we're talking with Gary from the Pioneer Museum, and you said that you had a lot of pictures and things in a collection that just are in the back storage room somewhere. So are those the types of things when you are looking to put pictures up at the TBCC building, the new building? Do you go back in those archives and kind of just find some fun things?
Absolutely, we do. It's funny you should bring that up, because that's one of the things I thought turned out very well, that Connie Green asked us to come in and do photographs and find paintings that we would loan to the community college for the new PRI building. And we went through our archives, and it should be said that we also have 25,000 photographs. We have, I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches, and it really is. And we have people go through it all the time to find, and sometimes people want to segment, my family or fishing or, I don't know, Cloverdale or whatever it is, something peculiar or more narrow.
Specific, yeah.
Yeah, and so we decided because Connie asked that it be related, if this is the partners in rural innovation, how about if we focus on industries initially? And so the first one we came up with was fishing, because we have some great fishing photos. They're incredible. And the one that we're hoping catches the attention, at least people of my age, if not people a third my age, is that there's one that we think is Bing Crosby.
Really?
With two other guys and a whole, a ton of fish. But we have photos from online of Bing Crosby. He's a big-time fisherman. And I think that's him. And anyways, we have that.
That is cool.
But we have all these women all dressed up in these fancy dresses.
Out fishing.
In shallow waters for casting.
Their dresses all hyped up.
And so we put up a dozen of these. And it's really a great combination because we had interns find the coolest photos. And we had them find like 50, and then we narrowed it down to 30, and then we narrowed it down to 20, and then down to 12 to hang initially. And it's just that industry, fishing. And then we had them enlarge it, and then we had mats made by the staff at the museum. And then we had the girls that we teach carpentry to out at Coach's Point make the frames.
Cool.
And it's beautiful stuff because the frames match the woodwork at the walls of the community college. And it's kind of that like yellow leading to brown pine look. And that's all this is. It's just, a white pine, ponderosa pine.
Yeah.
And we took some with coloration to it, but we made it the same finish, kind of a satin finish.
So that it kind of matches and goes with and doesn't
It's as
stand
if
out a lot.
the picture goes back into the wall.
Cool.
And we put up the narrative of what these were and where they came from, sort of thing. But the really wonderful thing, and the thing that really touches my heart, is we've been collecting art for years, and we would buy all this expensive art that of local artists because we want to preserve it. We think that's a great investment, and art's the only thing it doesn't depreciate.
Right.
So Brianna Moran painted this beautiful painting of the ocean, just right at the edge of the ocean. And it's large. I believe it's 56 by 58 inches. We put it up about 30 feet.
Oh, wow.
Where you walk into the PRI building, you see it on the wall facing the ocean.
Cool.
Now
Oh,
we're
cool.
looking for something that when you come back the other way, we'll have something that's a forest. We have forest ones. They're just not as big. We need something that size. And
So you're putting out a call to people? You need
well,
to make the first painting?
and see, we think that would be right. Looking east, you see the forest.
Right,
and
then looking west, you see the ocean. Yeah, that's
and,
really cool.
And so that's what we hope to do. And it really is nice because the community college staff, George, put up the artwork, but all the rest of it was done essentially by interns and students. And I think it really is nice work. But take a look because the idea is that we'll wait 6 months and then put up another industry.
Okay, so I was going to ask, was it just so you kind of have a display just like you do at the museum? You kind of have a display area where you're going to just kind of rotate out the photographs?
That's exactly right. We have people looking right now for logging, for dairy, and we even thought. Along the way, we thought some of the coolest stuff were school pictures.
Yeah.
In a school, in higher education, why wouldn't you talk about education? So we think that's an industry too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask if you were going to look for old pictures of like what the college used to be. I mean, I know, how long has the college been here? 30-something years?
I was going to say almost 40 years, I believe.
Because the original building is what the school district building is now, right? Is that their original building, or were they somewhere else?
Well, I don't know when the one in Bay City was underway, or even up in Nehalem. I'm not sure.
Yeah, see, finding those kinds of things, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And kind of see where it was and then what it's become now.
And that's some of the funny things that we want to put out now, that like the idea of what people wore for sports.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, like, I don't know, 60 years ago or 80 years ago, it's like,
Football,
oh my God.
They had those leather helmets. I mean, it's a helmet, but...
Well, in basketball teams where the guys are wearing short shorts kind of stuff, it's like really? Whose idea was that?
You mean like in the 70s? Yeah.
And so there's great humor, but there's also great opportunities to show what doesn't usually see the light of day.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you guys got to go back in and find, like you're doing now at the museum.
Yeah.
We're going to have an exhibit of pictures that really don't have a place right now.
Yeah.
So, fun.
And we keep finding them. As we reorganize our collection, we find stuff that we didn't know was so precious. And we really
that
do.
must be so much fun to go back and look through all those pictures. That would be like a can of worms. If you told me, okay, go back in an hour, I need you to find 2 pictures, I don't know that I could do it because I would get so distracted just by looking at everything in there.
Well, I'm always looking for an end product, and I'll do that. I'll say, somebody, can you in 2 hours or 2 days or whatever? And they say yes. And it's like the big lie because, of course, you can't because you're derailed like 15 minutes into it. You made a right turn and kept going. And it is. It's wonderful. It is. Again, it's more of an embarrassment of riches that we have.
That's amazing. So you guys are closed right now. Pioneer Museum's closed. opening again on March 7th. And you'll have the new exhibit up then,
Yes,
right?
we
Faces
will.
and Places.
And we'll have the women in the military exhibit done, and we'll have the floors, the walls in the basement sealed, but we will also have new paint on the floors where there is concrete.
Yeah.
And we'll have the building ready to go again, and it'll be great.
Cool. And then you said the Oregon Humanities Conversation Project was March 11th?
Yes, March 11th, and it would be at 1 o'clock at the museum, and it's Wendy Willis, who has spoken before and has presented conversation projects before. She's very good.
She's doing A World Without Secrets, Privacy and Expectations in the U.S. And she's going to kind of go through the history of privacy and kind of how, I mean, like I said, it's kind of, there's a huge magnifying glass now on everybody's privacy because of the internet. Just feel like you can't do anything anymore without it going somewhere.
Well, and that's what happened is in 9/11, people gave up rights in the name of national security, and then they stepped back like after there isn't this imminent threat or they don't see an imminent
Wait
threat.
a minute.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, for
bugging
sure.
my telephone line.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, always fun having you in.
Oh, it's so nice to be here.
It's-
You're
I know.
wonderful.
Great for you to come back. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let's see.
Lisa.
Tomorrow we'll have Landon Myers from the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office. Don't forget senior meals, 11:30 at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also noon every weekday at the Kayawanda Community Center in Pacific City, as well as the Tillamook Senior Center at 4th and Stillwell. Cost us $3 for seniors and $6.75 for everyone else. Today, the YMCA is hosting a free seminar and demonstration for Qigong for the heart. It's today from 1 to 3. A Sting in the Tail runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend at Tappa's Barn Community Playhouse. Friday and Saturday shows are at 7, and Sunday show is at 2. This comedic thriller is also showing next weekend. Tickets are available at Diamond Art Jewelers, 842-7940, or at the door. And Tappa's also holding auditions for the comedic farce Funny Money on Friday at 7 and Saturday at 3. It'll be held at Oregon Coast Dance Center in the center of town. They are looking for 6 men and 2 women for this production. Audition packets are available at the Tillamook County Library, the main branch, or tillamooktheater.com. And on Saturday, Yo Time, in partnership with Art Accelerated, is hosting Open Mic Night for music and literature from 6:30 to 8. Gary, thanks again for coming in.
Thank you, Lisa. It's always a pleasure.
It is. And thank you, Tillamook, for listening.